This is a Teac A-2300S reel-to-reel recorder. Just picked up, or my friend picked up, came out of a dumpster. I don't know why someone would throw one of these away, but that's what happens. I'm not sure of the condition. Physically, it's not in too bad a condition. One of the first things I checked out was the heads, and there is some wear on the heads, I noticed. And not too bad. These use the permalloy heads, which don't have a real good life expectancy. There's a lot better head material like the glass heads or cobalt heads, but anyway, that's what you get. I did clean the heads. They were filthy. I used quite a bit of Q-tips. Pinch roller needed resurfacing. I used material on that. All the drive, I don't think this thing has been serviced in a long time. I haven't opened it up yet. I just cleaned the heads. Look in the back. These are pretty well made. If you look at the size of the motors, it's a 3-motor unit. This is the A-2300S. This came out, I believe, in 1972, so it's been around a while. Obviously, this hasn't had a lot of maintenance on it. One good thing, in the internet, you've got the operations manual and service manual. So I downloaded those and copied them, so that's good. Also of importance is I got a complete schematic diagram here, which I pasted together out of the 4 sheets here. So I have all the documentation I need, and there are no exotic components in here, electronically anyway, that I should have any trouble with if there's a problem. So I'm going to power it up and see what we get. Here I have the Teac A-2300S on my other bench here where I can do some work. And before I try to operate this with tape, I want to go through a few different servicing things before that, because the heads were in such bad shape, I'm assuming not too much maintenance was done on this. And as I said, these heads were terribly dirty. So there's a few other places where I have to watch. One is the pinch roller mechanism. When the tape is running, the pinch roller has to be brought up. The solenoid kicks in and pulls the pinch roller up against the capstan drive here, and that's what drives the tape. And when the tape's threaded, this is a shut-off arm. This will be pulled up, and then when the tape ends, this drops down and it'll shut off the mechanism. Or if the tape breaks, this will shut it off so you don't spill tape all over every place. You got a tension arm over here on this side. A lot of critical things in these recorders here. Now, the way they control the tension on these have eddy current motors, separate motors for the take-up and supply reel here, and then there's a motor to drive the capstan mechanism here. And the way they work is, these eddy current motors, when you're in play, the take-up reel motor will apply a torque, and it'll, in this direction here, pulling on the tape. And at the same time, the supply motor here will apply a torque in the opposite direction. Now, the torque supplied by the take-up reel is greater than the torque, the back torque, by the supply reel. And that's done so the tape will be pulled up against the heads with a proper pressure. If they're not pulled up against the head strong enough, you're gonna lose signal. So the only thing that actually moves the tape is the action of the pinch roller against the capstan here. When that moves, when the unit's on, the capstan is continually moving, and then when the solenoid pulls the pinch roller up, that will move the tape across. So I have to make sure all of these are working. They seem to be free here. This is a typical problem here, although it seems to operate good here. What happens a lot of times is this pinch roller will not be pulled tight enough against the capstan roller, and then when you hit play, these things will just spin at a higher rate of speed here. due to the torque of this motor. Looking in the back, the way you adjust that tension, on the left side here you've got these 3 resistors here, and this top resistor is R4. This controls the back tension during fast forward, when you're fast forwarding the tape. This resistor here is the take-up tension, so that will control the torque on this motor here. In R2 down here, this controls the back tension on the supply reel here. These are the eddy current motors, and this is the motor that drives the capstan here. You can see when I turn it, and this feels pretty good here. Here's the capstan flywheel down here. Here's the point I'm going to have to possibly remove this bar along here and get to the arm here. Let's see if I move this. I don't know if you can see that. When I move the arm on the shutoff arm, there's a micro switch here, and with a cam action on here that will turn that micro switch. So pull up on that, it's on, drop it, it's off. And there's a concentric shaft on here that sometimes what happens is you get grease that turns basically into glue, and then that won't operate. Here's a solenoid up here. When that operates, see if I can do it here. I'd like to still see it. This solenoid pulls in like this, and that pulls the pinch rotor up against the capstan to get the tape to drive. So one of the nice things about this machine is all 3 motors have little rubber tubes that come out of each side that feed down into the bearings. And you can put a drop of oil. Here you can see this one here. The other ones are harder to see. There's 2 on this motor, on the supply motor, and on the take-up motor there's 2. This one has 1 here and 1 in the front. So before I even power this in, I'm going to put a drop of oil or 2 in each of these little plastic pipes here, and that will lubricate the bearings. Although they seem pretty good. These things are built like tanks. Here you can see brakes on the shoe here. When this pulls in, there's a brake pad here that's hitting the wheel here, keep it from turning. When this solenoid kicks in, the reel will turn, and then when it comes out, when the solenoid releases, it stops the rotation. Same thing on this one over here. The solenoid kicks in and the reel, and then it stops. So these solenoids will have to stop those brakes. If they don't break the reel, you'll spill tape all over the place. That's a problem. I haven't worked on one of these things in years. I forgot just how nice and well made these things are. So I am going to lubricate those points, and I think I'm going to hit the pots. The volume pots down in the bottom are accessible. I'm going to hit them with some fader lube, and then if I can, I'm going to hit the switches or slide switches in the front. The unit's in really good shape. Electrically, I don't know. We'll see what we find. I'm hoping mechanically it's in good shape, because it'll be a lot easier to do any electrical repairs than any mechanical repairs. And I probably have everything I need to fix these electrically, but mechanically, lots of luck. I know there are some parts available I see on eBay for a small fortune for these things. But I think it's worth fixing. So I am going to do that. Heads are clean, and then I'll put a tape on and we'll just see if the transport works. So stand by for that. Something else I did, there's a cap here that's over the capstan, and there's a felt in there that I put a little drop of oil, and then I'll put this cap back on. Don't want grease on my fingerprints to get on the tape. So I put a tape on it. I'm going to thread the tape now. I haven't done this in a long time. I got a Teac X7 that I'm going to have to do some work on sometime. That has a mechanical problem with it. And of course, when they perfected cassettes to the point where they were a lot more reliable and higher fidelity, the reel-to-reel decks kind of went out of favor. But I always like the reel-to-reel above the cassette anyway. Alright. That looks good. So now I'm going to give it some power. That's a good sign. And now we'll see what happens. That's also a good sign. Let's try fast forward. Counter's working. You notice the belt was kind of loose. I'll probably have to replace the belt. The main drive belt that drives the capstan flywheel was in pretty good shape, and that's a pretty heavy belt. Wow, that's pretty fast. Rewiring works good. Well, mechanically it seems to be working good here. Let's see if we got some output. I know there is audio on. There's music on this tape, so probably started in a little bit. It should be kicking on by now. I got the output. Okay, I've got it monitor and tape, and I got the output full. I should be into the music by now. No indication on the VU meters, and so I guess we got a problem here. But I'm glad it's electrical and not mechanical. Mechanical, it seems to work fine. So I guess we got to figure out what's going on here. Let's see. Yeah. Okay, well, we will have to investigate that next. Okay, I got the schematic out here, and I should put this on the monitor. I don't know if you can see it all right, but anyway, you got your playback head coming in, coming through the amplifiers, and then let's see, point C and D here, they come down and feed the VU meters. I'm getting nothing. So what I think I'm going to do, I'm going to, let's see, I think I'll put a signal into the line in and see if I get any output on the VU meters. And that'll let me know that at least this is good. And then what I think I'll do is I'll cut the amplifier in half, not physically, but I'll bracket. I'll see if I got signal here. I'll see when I lose it. So I'm assuming it's coming in on the playhead. I'll work my way from the playhead back through the amplifier. It goes through here, the amp board here, and then here's your output here. And it looks like this is a headphone amplifier, I believe. So our outputs, here's your left and right output. So here's your two output transistors that drive the output jacks. So I'm going to see if I'm getting signal at the output pots here, which I'm assuming is this one here. These are concentric pots here. If I'm getting signal here, I'll know the problem is farther down the line here. If I'm getting nothing here, then I can go back through this way. So I'll do that next. I'm running a 1 kilohertz sine wave into both left and right inputs, line inputs. And you can see on the VU meters. So I know things are good from the line in through the meters, and let's see, yeah, through the output amplifiers here. So my problem is this side here. You can see where the left and right come in. I'm running this in from an audio generator, and I'm monitoring the source, and here's the line level input, which would be here, I believe. Let's see, these would be gained together. Yeah, these are gained together. Line level input, here's the record amplifier here, everything's good here, and then let's see where the signal goes up. Yeah, here's where we're losing it. The monitor switch here. We're getting nothing, but the tone's coming in. Here I'm monitoring the playback from the playback head. Here I'm measuring the source. So we've got a problem somewhere in here. The playback mic and mic amp board here. Let's see. I think we're narrowing it down. So we'll have to move on here and see what we find. I went on the mic board, and it was looking like R139 was open. This is a 470 ohm resistor, but what I found was bad solder joint at this point where that enters the board. But after I looked at the board, there were a number of other joints on here that didn't look very good, so I touched all those joints back up. It's R139. It's a 470 ohm resistor here. So I touched up those bad looking solder joints. So now I'm going to try and see if we can get that playback amplifier to work. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to try to record some of that 1 kilohertz signal. So record on, monitoring the source. And I'll record maybe 30 seconds or so of that. And if I get that, then I know we found that problem. So I'll stop that, rewind, and there we go. There's the output. So that was what the problem was. It was just that bad solder joint on R139 that was cutting out the amp there. So let's see, I'm going to see if I can let's stop here. I'm going to put another tape on. Put another tape on and we'll see if we get any audio. I got another tape with some music on it, so stand by for that. Okay, I put a tape on that I recorded, God, it's got to be over 40 years ago. So let's see what we got here. Maybe. Paul Revere and the Raiders. Well, that's going back a few years. Anyway, I think we got it fixed, so I'm going to clean the heads again. Boy, I'm glad this problem was not mechanical, because these can be a real pain to either fix or find parts. So, that'll do it for this one. I hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.